I'm standing in front of Jadwin Gymnasium. This is the main athletics hub for Princeton University. The administration has most of their offices here, and most of the coaches have their offices here as well. We train here and we compete here. So in the bottom floor is the wrestling room. It's 2 full mats. It's got a nice little rogue rack system as well for some cardio lifts. And then our actual weight room's connected right to the wrestling room, which is really convenient. Jadwin Gym is probably the most historic gym in the state in relation to wrestling. It hosted the NCAA tournament both in 1975 and 1981. Since I've been here, we've hosted the EIWA tournament 2 times, and we also hosted the NWCA All-Star Classic. Last season, 2019, we averaged over 1,500 fans to each match, and we were top 20 in attendance out of all D1 programs. It's really a great venue to wrestle in. And again, we wrestle our bigger matches in this gym. We do have a smaller one where we take on our less attended matches, and that's in the center of gym, and we'll get over there at some point too. Here we are at the Princeton Stadium. This serves 2 purposes. It's home to the football team, and also we train here a lot in the fall. Interesting thing about Princeton football is Princeton versus Rutgers was the first collegiate football game ever played. We kind of spun off that too a few years ago, and on the anniversary of that game, we had Battle at the Birthplace up at Rutgers, where we had an outdoor wrestling match that had over 15,000 fans, which was really cool. But the football team's really good here, and we follow them pretty closely. They follow us pretty closely. But again, the stadium also serves as a great training place. We do a lot of stadiums here, running the stairs. We use the overhang to do some sprints, and then we're out on the field quite a bit too, doing a bunch of different exercises. So we really like the stadium. We use it to our advantage when we can, especially when the weather's nice. Here we are at Prospect Street, also known as the street by the students. Up and down this road, you'll see all the eating clubs. There's 11 of them. The eating club is basically a place where juniors and seniors eat and socialize. It has men and women, and usually around 160 members. On the weekends, this road will just be packed with students, as it is the place to come and hang out during the school year. Here we are in front of 2 of the most beautiful buildings on campus. The first is the University Chapel. The University Chapel has over 10,000 feet of stained glass. One interesting thing about that stained glass is on the north side, the stained glass contains all religious figures. On the south side, it contains individuals who added new knowledge to the human race. Behind me is one of 12 libraries on campus called Firestone. This is the largest library on campus. So this is Chancellor Green and East Pine. I actually don't know too much about this building other than the fact that it's my favorite place that I ride through when I drive my bike to Jadwin in the morning. So I cruise right through here. I don't know, there's something about these buildings that really make me feel good as I'm heading into work. Also, there's a really neat library over here, and we've had a few events there after our matches. Generally, after a home wrestling match, we'll have a social with our alumni and our family and our friends there. So this is one of our favorite spots to come. I don't know, I just pull in here and it just seems to scream Princeton. So welcome to Princeton. Princeton is a small town of about 30,000 people, and where I stand right now is Nassau Street. So Nassau Street really divides the town from the university. Nassau Street's a really, really cool street. It's got a ton of awesome restaurants. I come here a lot of great shops too. The kids will roll into town, get good meals. If we ever have recruiting trips, we'll take you out to some of those restaurants, which is pretty cool. Where we're situated is, so if you travel due northeast about an hour, you're going to end up in New York City. If you go southwest about an hour, you're going to end up in Philly. If you go directly east or southeast, you're going to end up at the Jersey Shore. All really cool places. If you go northwest, you're going to end up in Pennsylvania and basically into farm country. So it's a really unique spot where we're not in a city, but we have access to really, really different locations. Really quaint little town, really cool town. And then over here, we have Fitz-Randolph Gates. There's some interesting history with Fitz-Randolph Gates in that the freshmen come in through here when they come in, and that's the only time they pass through the gate until they graduate. They come back out. So if you could see these two side gates, if you see undergraduates, they won't walk through that main gate. Basically, the lore is that if you go through that main gate, you will not get your degree. So that's Fitz-Randolph Gates. So here we are in front of Nassau Hall. It's the oldest building on campus, and it has a ton of history. Especially as it relates to the Revolutionary War. So the Battle of Princeton, which was a key battle in that war, moved all the way up here. And the building was actually occupied at different times by both British and American troops. At one point, the British had occupied it and were using it as a prison. We had ordered cannonballs shot on the building, supposedly by George Washington. One of those cannonballs went through a window and actually decapitated the portrait of King George. It served as the nation's capital for 4 months in 1783, and when it was built, it was the largest building in New Jersey and also the largest academic building among the American colonies. Here we are at Blair Hall in the Blair Arch. Interestingly enough, this building was donated by John Inslee Blair, who also founded Blair Academy, where myself and Coach Gray went to school. So we have a little bit of a connection to this hall. It's also really beautiful as you walk up these stairs and you take a look. You look right at Alexander Hall. And then Alexander Hall, inside it has this beautiful auditorium. It's called Richardson. And the orchestra and the band are housed there, but just a really cool place to see a show. So here we stand in front of Dillon Gym. Dillon Gym serves as our competition venue for maybe our smaller matches. If we expect 700 fans or probably less, we're going to wrestle over here at Dillon. If we're expecting, around 1,000 or more, we're going to go over to Jadwin. This gym is pretty intimate, so we do like wrestling those smaller matches here because it gets pretty wild. So last year we had about half of our home matches in this gym, half of our matches in Jadwin. When I first arrived here, we actually wrestled all of our matches in here. But as we started to build more of a fan base, it was getting to be a little bit too tight. And so we started ticketing events over at Jadwin to fit more fans. But this gym is a great gym. It's right. The one really cool thing about this gym actually is that it is in the center of campus. So it's pretty easy access for the students. I mean, you walk by and you'll hear the match going on and people kind of just stroll in and be standing there watching, which is pretty neat. Jadwin's kind of a little bit more away from the center of campus and you don't really have that walk-up feel with Jadwin, but really cool gym in Dillon. So this is Whitman College. It's one of 6 residential colleges on campus. One interesting thing about campus is it's huge. It's about 600 acres. And one of the reasons it is so huge is about every kid lives on campus, about 98%. Whitman is an example of a residential college. What's a residential college? Essentially, it's a dining hall and just a bunch of dorms attached. If you look behind me, right here is the dining hall, the white building, and then all these brick buildings or stone buildings are where the kids live. Housing is guaranteed for all 4 years. Sometimes juniors and seniors choose to live outside of the residential college, but most kids live in their residential college. Also, your support is housed a bit in the residential college. There's a director of studies, there's a dean of the college, and the faculty, your teachers, basically communicate with them to let them know how you're doing. So that's where the support starts. If you're ever in trouble in classes, the dean of the college or the director of studies will find out, they'll come get you and help you. So there's a lot of things that go on in the residential colleges. They're really just trying to make a really strong community. In fact, I am a fellow at this residential college, so it's my favorite. So I can go here and eat meals with the guys and hang out, which is really good. It makes me feel really part of the university other than the athletics department. So I actually don't know much about this building. I actually don't know the building's name, but this is the new Center for the Arts, which was completed last year. One pretty neat thing about this building, though, it's one of the more recent ones, is those are offices, those wooden boxes, and they're actually hanging in the air, so they're suspended from the ceiling. It's pretty neat. The other interesting thing about Princeton is it's not just about education and academics. They built this art center because they believe they're connected, just like with athletics. So it's a more holistic approach to an education. So that's why I thought it'd be fun to walk down here to the new art center and just take a look at this building. I just think it's really cool. So here we are at Carnegie Lake. The lake was actually built by the Carnegies for rowing. So the boathouse is right there. The rowing team here at Princeton is very good. The U.S. Olympic team is trained here as well. Just a really picturesque lake, a nice area to come down to. There's kayaks. Our guys can come down here fishing. It's just a good place to get away from campus and kind of catch a little bit of nature. So this is one of my favorite parts of campus. It's called the towpath. So it's great to come down here and just go for a run and try to get lost a little bit in the nature. This towpath actually goes all the way down to the Delaware, which all continues down to Philly as well. Just a really beautiful run for our guys, and I really like to run in this too. But it just gives you another example of the nature that exists around Princeton's campus.